Hey y'all, welcome to Gadfly, the podcast about third parties, fringe candidates, and just generally weird American electoral history. I'm Dusty Wilson.
I'm Una O'Leary.
Una, we're going to start with, dare I say, a mini episode before finishing our story of one former Dr. John R. Brinkley.
Ooh, is this an Inception episode?
Not really. It's more of just like such a wacky, weird story that it's something I would normally want to cover as a full episode, but the amount of information out there, it'd be like 15 minutes. So I'm just going to do the Cliff Notes version.
Yeah, great. A little appetizer to whet the palate.
So those of you who follow us on Twitter, I do this thing where whenever the primaries are done for the state, since we're in primary season, do a quick thread of saying, oh, here are all the non-incumbents who are running, because it's usually names that no one's ever heard of with unique ideas and perspectives and things that are troublesome and worrying. But I think it's great to get those names out there and kind of encourage people to be like, yeah, you did it. You're in a really tough race, but best of fucking luck. And so last week we had amongst many other states, the Oregon primaries occurred. And for a little bit, the numbers just weren't finishing up. Usually states can go through things quick, but I figured it's like, oh, it's just Portland being weird. It's just, it's a big city. They're taking their time. This always fucking happens. Until I saw that all the vote totals that hadn't gone through were from a place called Clackamas County, which is south of Portland. It's between Portland and Salem, essentially. And I was like, well, this is peculiar because it went to the next day that 9% of the ballots had been counted. And
Holy cow.
It just seemed weird. And I just, at first I wrote it off as just like, this is just normal BS and people just being lazy and not calling things in. There's a deeper story behind it, I found out. So in 2002, a woman by the name of Sherry Hall was elected the Clackamas County clerk. And she has proceeded to spend the next 20-ish years just displaying utter incompetence at every goddamn turn. Boomer stubbornness to no end. Some highlights of her past history is she's really good at messing up ballots on election day.
No, why? That's the opposite of what you want.
So for mail-in ballots that people got, she sent a package with the wrong due date. And the date listed was the day after the state due date. And so people sent in a bunch of votes that had to be thrown out.
No, she needs to be thrown out.
You'd think, but it's an elected position. And as many times as people have tried to recall this woman and run against her, she keeps winning.
Clackamas County.
Another thing, this is more of a funny one. There's a ballot measure that was going to be on the ballot in November for the general election. She just put it on the May primary.
Without telling anyone?
No, without knowing any better.
Oh, no.
She also, we've talked about city annexation for when it comes to unincorporated towns and things like that. Do you know how important, say, a map is of where the annexation is going to occur?
Yes.
She sent out information for this annexation vote with the wrong maps of the wrong towns. Not only that, there was one election where she just didn't print enough ballots. She lowballed the amount she thought they were going to need.
How do you lowball? How do you not just
I honestly sum it up to just incompetence. She had so many willful mistakes that have had no consequences that I think she just thinks she knows better than everyone else at this point. Some less fun things about her. And I believe it was 2014. She decided, I'm no longer doing marriages at the county clerk office because I might have to have same-sex people come in and get married. So I'm not going to do it.
Girl, it is Oregon.
It was not that much safer, though, if you were a heterosexual couple. There was a period of about 7 months where all of the marriage certificates that she gave out ended up being nullified because she only signed them without doing that fancy notary stamp. It's a simple job and she didn't even do it. Yeah, so Sherry Hall has just been a real clusterfuck of a county clerk. And this year, her piece de resistance is for, to make sure that we don't have to hand count ballots anymore. We have machines do it. And you need barcodes on your ballots to know which ones are being counted to make sure you're not double counting shit. And Sherry found out about a month before the election that the ballots they were going to be using, the barcodes, were smudged. And so the machines couldn't read them. And I will give this. I mean, Sherry is a Republican in a nonpartisan position. The Clackamas County Commissioner, who is also a Republican by the name of Tootie Smith. And that name says you will make a quilt. I might not like your opinions, but god damn, it's going to be comfy. Like, Toot has some real fucking opinions, and some are garbage, some are really funny. And so she calls up her old friend Sherry and is like, hey, look, this is going to be a huge issue for you. Do you know what percentage? And Sherry really didn't give any numbers and just repeatedly said, we're going to be fine. Don't worry about it. And Tootie's like, no, we'll send you a few hundred people to help out. This is going to be huge. Every single time Republicans or Democrats said, hey, let's help you here, Sherry said, no, don't send anyone. were good. And so after the primary, the total number of ballots that ended up being smudged and could not be counted were 90% or 65,000 votes.
65,000 votes.
Yep. And to make things even more fun, Tootie and everyone else in the county are like, okay, can we now send you help? To which Sherry said, I mean, you could, but no one wants to work weekends, and I'm not going to work weekends for this.
Oh my God, can't they recall her?
They've tried. People have tried, and she keeps winning.
Can't they outright fire her?
No, it's an elected position. Like, unless you want to do a clerk coup, which sounds so lame on its face.
I do want to clerk coup.
And so the good news is her job this year is up for election. She's running against Catherine McMullen, who is, her entire platform is, this woman is bad at her job. I don't care. Like, I'm pretty sure she's like, I don't care if you reelect me. We just have to get this person out now.
Yes. And see what a difference competency can make to your lives.
Wow. To get things done within 24 hours, that'd be fun. That'd be pretty great.
Get a license that isn't nullified if you leave the state or county.
Nonsense. Utter goddamn nonsense. But yeah, and so we're still waiting on results for 2 races in Oregon. About an hour ago, votes actually started to come through that had been hand counted. They're up to about 30% right now, so it's probably going to take a few more days.
Mazel tov.
We're still waiting to see who's going to be winning the Oregon Senate race for Republicans. As of right now, the leader is Jo Ray Perkins. Not sure if that name rings a bell, but she was a Senate candidate, I believe, 2 years ago, either in 2016 or 2018. But she is most well known for really believing in Q, and still does. And everyone in Oregon, or 33% of people in Oregon, are like, yeah, let's do that again. Let's run this person against Ron Wyden, one of the most liked senators in the entire goddamn nation. So there's that. And also in the 5th congressional district in Oregon, there is a race between Kurt Schrader, who is one of the more conservative Democrats currently serving in Congress, and Jamie McLeod Skinner, who is running as a more, I would not say like full tilt progressive, but definitely more left than Kurt Schrader. As of right now, she is winning 60-40. Things are looking pretty good, but we're still waiting for that. And the Republicans are still waiting for a winner as well, but it's a little more clear cut who the winner is going to be for that race. But yeah, it's just been a real clusterfuck that we're almost to a new primary day, and fucking Sherry's taking her goddamn time, refusing to work on the fucking Sabbath.
She's maxing out those 15-minute smoke breaks.
Look, I get that God rested, but God also did his job. Like, there weren't a bunch of giraffes walking around with smudges. There weren't like cows making the wrong noise. Shit got done. It's also
just like, I guess that can't be blamed on her, but given her track record, it's like, so did you just go to the cheapest printer possible?
Right? You're near Portland. I am sure there are printers there. I'm sure there are many, because those fucking socialist zines aren't going to print themselves. Or sometimes they do.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it's your boss's Kinko's account, but sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, go to a fucking Kinko's. I don't know who the government contractor is for those. I imagine it has to be someone who's been highly vetted.
Yeah.
And for her to not be like, yeah, it's a few weeks out, do it again, and don't charge me for your fuck up. It says like, fuck it. Put them in the machines.
But would you have a person who's like, this many over 18, we're fine.
Yeah. Like, I got things to do. I got a bridge night to ruin over at the fucking Kiwanis Club.
These old episodes of The Blacklist are just burning a hole in my DVR. You hear me? They're not going to watch themselves.
Look, I need to know what James Spader is going to do and how many people he knows on that list. I've never seen the show. I'm assuming that's what it's about. Like, James Spader has a list and it's all not good people. Anyways.
So, like secret societies.
Oh, God. Yeah, that sounds fun. So that's our small story. I felt like if I dove any more into the life of Sherry Hall, I would just cancel the podcast forever and just be like, we're fucked. We're just done.
It's like, why do I put any effort into my job?
I have been looking into this for years of my life, and you were the one who ruined it, Sherry Hall. You were the fucking straw in the back. You're the reason George Carlin got really dark in his final years.
Oh my God.
So that's a fun story. Hopefully we'll find out more with Oregon, but also a nice way to kind of pimp the fact that, hey, we have another primary this week. By the time the episode comes out, it's going to be Alabama, Arkansas, Texas's runoff.
Oh my God.
Georgia, and one other? What is that other one? I should know this, but I don't. No, I got them all. The one I was missing is Minnesota has a special election on Tuesday where they might elect a terrible person.
Oh, I was hoping for a socialist.
I mean, it's the primary, so who knows who the Democrats are going to pick. The front runner right now is the widow of the guy who originally had the seat, because we have a great tradition of that here in America.
Yeah.
But she also got in trouble because I believe it was one of her staffers got arrested for child sex trafficking.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so it's that old chestnut. And apparently she was making plans on running for the office, allegedly, around the time her husband started getting sick. I mean, look, it's good to plan for life after love, but give it time.
Well, that's where the thriller novel starts to write itself of like, and just how did he die?
Look, I am going to kill my husband so I can represent a region in Minnesota, and it's as high as it's probably going to get.
Choked him out with a ballot, and then I used the ballot to vote myself in, so they never found the evidence.
Allegedly on the blacklist. Oh my god. So that's, we'll be doing a review of all those races throughout the week. I'm sure I'm going to be spreading it out so I don't drive myself bonkers, but it's a fun way to learn who's running and to see what kind of awesome people are going to be representing things who might not be getting the fanfare most people would. And so that being said, Una, you ready to dive back into this wild life of John Romulus Richard Brinkley?
Born ready.
Excellent. So when we last left Doc Brinkley, he had run for governor of Kansas, not once, not twice, but thrice times. And while it's still debated to this day whether he got conned out of winning for the first election since he was a write-in candidate, he very clearly lost the second and third run. And by 1934, John had seemingly lost all avenues of power. His Kansas radio station was gone. He could no longer keep performing surgery in Milford, and the populace was no longer willing to come out and vote for him. So John did what any con man worth his salt would do. He skipped the fuck out of town.
Yes.
So as we mentioned before, John exploited the pettiness of the Mexican government and got himself a radio station across the Texas border that would blare his station crystal clear across most of the lower 48. The station, up until 1934, was mostly an avenue for him to run for governor, but also became a mecca for up-and-coming country acts and a gateway for Americans to discover Mexican musicians. They even had an astrologist/cult founder named Rose Dawn, who not only became John's personal astrologist, but was the most popular segment on the entire channel.
He's like a young Nancy Reagan.
It's explain.
Oh, she was huge into astrology.
Oh God, yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Those demon planets. How dare she? But not everyone was happy. For one, the American Medical Association, who helped kill John's first radio station, was begging the U.S. State Department to try and get Mexico to shut down the station. But there were also people in and around Ciudad Acuña, where the station was, who were flat out pissed. This was primarily because the Mexican Department of Communications promised that this huge radio station was Mexican-owned, and when the locals did even a little bit of looking into it, they found that the owners were John and Minnie Brinkley, two people who were decidedly not citizens of Mexico. Also, they would note that for a station that was based in Mexico, the station almost never broadcast anything in Spanish, with the exception of like a super quick tag where it's just like, you're listening to XER, the Sunshine Station between the nation, and then they do it really quick in Spanish.
Locho.
And then occasionally like Rosa Dominguez would come on and sing in Spanish, but it was like it was few and far between.
No bueno.
Yeah. Weirdly enough, these locals also had the support of the American and Canadian governments, who were seeking an international ban on stations broadcasting in anything other than their most widely spoken language, which thankfully never got approved.
Yeah, rude. First of all, Canada, you're just trying to suppress the French with that.
Yep.
Chill out.
You'll wonder why the Quebecois are so mad.
Secondly, it's because of you two jokers that we even have Mexico being petty in the first place.
Exactly. It's for that to be their go-to of like, fine, you won't listen to us. We're going to make an official language of our country, which we've never done. Like if they'd have done that, how fucked would Telemundo been? Like one of the most popular stations in America. Just done. Oh, it's drunk nonsense. So America would also demand that Mexico ban the placement of radio stations near the border, to which Mexico would also refuse with a stern fuck off. That being said, by 1934, Mexico was less interested in hilarious pettiness. It was becoming more amenable to at least lessening Brinkley's ability to offer dubious medical advice and advertise quack medicines. That year, they also passed a series of regulations that included, quote, forbidding foreign ownership of radio stations or foreign stations broadcasting in Mexico, and outlawing all non-Spanish medical programming without special government permission. Now, whether or not they would actually enforce these new rules was kind of up in the air. So meanwhile, John had been working nonstop. He's been working on his 3 different campaigns. He's trying to keep the hospital in Milford going. He's trying to keep the station in Mexico and the station in Milford, Kansas running. And he had no time left to spend with Millie and Johnny Boy. Something had to break. So John made the executive decision to shut down his hospital in Milford. He would state that costs were becoming untenable, but the real cost that was crushing him was that phone line that he had set up. Now, as a bit of a reminder, John, to be able to broadcast in his station in Ciudad Acuña, decided what he was going to do is he was going to have a direct phone line from Milford to Del Rio, Texas, that cost him in the 1930s money $10,000 a month.
So much. I mean, so much for today's money, frankly, for a phone line. And I've seen my AT&T bill.
Exactly.
Let me tell you.
Yeah, it's a really bold and dumb move, but for a guy who loves being on the radio, I guess I get it.
It's also one of those things where it's like, that's right. I continually forget he doesn't actually live in Mexico. He didn't like just peace out.
No.
Still goddamn Kansas.
Yeah, he's still holding on hope.
Literally phoning it in.
So essentially, after all this, he's kind of realized that Kansas is no longer fertile ground for him. He's had 3 governor losses, and it became clear to him at this point he was never going to get his medical license back. And honestly, if the courts wanted, they could still fine him for running the hospital and just say, like, you're managing, but you're still practicing medicine by being there. So to just kind of get around that, to not have any legal issues, John has the entire hospital packed up, furniture, equipment, and everything, and moves it all down to Del Rio, Texas.
Yes! I was hoping that would be the answer.
Yeah, John's making a good financial decision.
Yeah.
So John would build a new hospital there and restart his career far away from the Kansas Medical Board. John would have no trouble getting his Texas medical license because of reciprocity, and it was one of the few states that was still allowing that.
Amazing.
The Texas Medical Board would end up looking into this, but essentially what they found out is it was going to cost them more money to try to get it taken away than they actually had in the budget. So they let it go.
Oh, God.
And so, like that, the Fountain of Youth moved from Milford to Del Rio. A caravan of hospital equipment, the Brinkley's possessions, his ammunition train #1 campaign truck, which is that flatbed truck that turned into a stage.
Yes!
And 30 hospital employees and their families would make their way down to the border, while the Brinkleys flew ahead of them to get things ready.
A little rude, but fine.
A little bit, but I get it. I mean, I'm sure they're fine. And at first, John would operate out of the Roswell Hotel. But like I said, his ultimate goal was to build a new hospital. But while that was getting built, he kind of goes back to his roots and is just doing surgeries out of hotels again.
Always a good look.
Meanwhile, back in Milford, John had the hospital buildings torn down for tax purposes, leaving Milford without a hospital even to reopen. Without the hefty Brinkley account, the Milford State Bank shut down. The train suddenly quit stopping in Milford because there was no reason to, and the town quality of life cratered.
Wow.
Essentially, by leaving, he killed Milford.
He was like a one-man mill town.
Mm-hmm, pretty much. But you know what? Fuck them, right? You know, here in Del Rio and Ciudad Acuña, the Brinkleys are wanted. They are going to be insulated and adored. And when they got there, the Brinkleys were met with fanfare and a celebrity-like welcome. Del Rio celebrated them with, quote, a Mexican tea, which I promise you, I tried really hard to figure out what the fuck that was, because there were no details and the answers are confounding.
Does it just mean it has cinnamon in it?
I think it's hot chocolate, but it could. So Mexican tea is a thing. It's also known as Jesuit's tea, wormseed, or epazote. And it really isn't something you can make a tea into as we know it. The stems, leaves, and seeds can be used as sort of a flavoring herb, but if you make them into a tea-like concoction and drink it, it can be used to paralyze intestinal worms, which they're paralyzed. So when you drink it and force them out of your body, they can't cling on to anything. They're just like stuck. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The other side of that, though, is the oil in the roots of epazote are extremely toxic. So they might have been referring to that or any number of herbal teas, which could be used for medicine, which would appeal to John's eclectic medicine background. Or it might have just been a tall, cold glass of agua de Jamaica. Ciudad Acuña, though, was really put on a much better show for the Brinkleys when they showed up. So the Brinkleys walk across the International Bridge, and there to meet them is a full fucking band and everyone in town.
Yes.
And then they march them to the mayor's office.
Oh, damn. Okay.
Ciudad Acuña knows how to fucking welcome people. So there was also another group that had moved to Del Rio that the Brinkleys were unaware of. And it's kind of ridiculous. Spies from the U.S. State Department.
What?
Yeah, it's partially that the whole border blaster issue is just kind of been getting worse and worse, but they're also just like, we know this guy's going to pull something. We at least need to keep an eye on him to see what's going on.
Just go down, find out how many goats he's bringing with him.
We'll get to that because the answer may shock you.
Oh no.
And yeah, it's essentially through these spies that we found that John had rented an entire floor on the Roswell, was planning on converting the basement into an X-ray center, and had opened a drugstore on the first floor, which is part and parcel of his business strategy. That if you have a hospital, you put a pharmacy right under it. So Una, you did ask, how many goats did he bring down? And the answer is none. Goats are an old man's game. We're going to new territory now. Because John has discovered the real cause of male infertility. Like, goats help. It's a good fix. But the real problem is you got yourself an enlarged prostate.
Oh, no.
That's the whole thing. And John, he has a whole new procedure to give you back your virility. And the new promise he's making is that, with the goats, it was like, we're going to give you more virility than you ever had before. And to be a little careful and not get, disbarred, that's what medical people get, like disbarred.
Malpractice?
Yeah, there we are. So to not get in trouble, he's going to say instead, we're not going to give you more virility. We're just going to give you the virility that you had back.
Ooh, yeah. So
much better.
So if you weren't that virile, then you weren't that virile to begin with, were you, bud?
Exactly. But Una, I know you. You want to know the details. You want to know exactly, step by step, how this procedure works.
I want to know just how stimulating our dear doctor becomes.
Fair warning, things are about to get graphic and not great. But I will say there is supposedly a procedure for women, but the only resources I found listed the male practice, which I imagine is less horrifying because I do not trust John with any sort of other gender surgery.
Yeah, no, he'd be going in thinking we did have a prostate.
So step 1, anesthetize the testes, which I assume Minnie is still doing.
No, it's
a bad start. We're starting.
It really is.
It's not great. Second, if there are any ducts entering the testes that look diseased, you tie them off.
I honestly thought you were talking about quack, quack ducks.
Yes. If you have found ducts in your testes, it's a bad sign.
Listen, he was putting goat parts on other people's parts. I don't think I'm that far off in assuming that just suddenly there are ducks in the room.
Hey, Doc, weird question. Don't judge. Can you make it quack? Anyway, okay. So after tying off those ducts, next, look at the artery along the vas deferens and tie that off. Now inject a mercurochrome solution into the vas deferens, which is the one thing he did bring over from the goat procedure.
All right.
Which does nothing. All it does is give you cloudy urine and make you think something is happening when you go home. It's also like an antiseptic. So if that leads to finding any blockage in the vas deferens or prostate, you cut it away. I did not get more details than that. I don't know how you cut away blockage in a tiny tube. But
maybe from the 90s upward, but not in the time period we're in.
Yeah. It's not great. So this whole process is what's known as a partial vasectomy.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, and it was invented by another quack doctor in 1919.
No.
So he's not even doing anything new, but he's pretending like this is a new and novel thing.
Yikes.
Because of what he does next. So to test to see if the process has worked, you wait to see if the patient has an easier time peeing. If not, then a transurethral resection is done, which is when you remove part of the prostate through the penis.
Whoa, what? This took a huge
I hope you're still anesthetized, and I hope Minnie knows what she's doing. But it is. I didn't go into further details after I saw that. I'm like, I'm good. It doesn't sound great.
All of this is terrible. I was expecting you stimulate the prostate,
the
guy feels something, and then suddenly he's just like, hey, I can get it up again.
Yeah. And
no, I was not expecting this, where the person walks away essentially having a vasectomy. So he's never if the intention was more virility so I can have kids.
Oh, no, that's done. Unless he's doing both of them, you're done. But yeah, for a guy who had accusations of just physically ruining men, quote unquote, this is a ballsy shift to your.
No pun intended.
Oh, God. Yeah. And so it's really, really awful and so risky. And he is charging $275 per procedure for this, or around $6,000. And, silly me, John Romulus bless his heart, reported to have a success rate of 100% in his biography.
You know what? Just lie. Just go.
Yep.
You're already this deep in. You're pulling parts of one's prostate
Uh-huh.
through the penis.
Yeah, which is
That's
apparently
crazy.
a procedure. It's one of those things that he might be saying it just because if people are feeling ashamed of what he's done to them and everything's broke, maybe they won't talk, especially if they think they're like a rarity in this whole fucking thing. It's so unreal to me that this is now his new thing. But there's another good side effect to this. Not only are you getting your virility back, Una, it's gonna cure depression. John would also state that he saw patients months later, the color in their gray hair had returned, their face wrinkles had smoothed out, and everyone just had this natural youthful glow to them.
I mean, these are just outright lies, right? Like, I can't.
Look, if you had a prostate pulled through your urethra, you're gonna look good. I promise. I know it's a weird sentence, but it's all uphill from that moment. So what do you have to worry about? But the thing is, this isn't the only thing that you do. With the gold gland surgery, it was a thing like you have it once and you're good forever. This process needs a little more fine aftercare. So what he would recommend is that guys take 15 milligrams of testosterone for a month after the procedure, followed by 5 post-surgery ampules to be injected by your local doctor of choice over the next year or so. And John would supply these ampules for $100. And so patients went back to their local doctors, gave them the ampules and said, "Shoot me up, doc." To which they said, "I'm going to look into this. I need to see what's in here before I inject you with literally anything."
Yeah, what do you think I am?
And they sent it to the American Medical Association in Morris, Fishbane. Morris is here to stay, and he is so excited he just got mail. So they look into these ampules, and what they find is, let me see if I just want to make sure I get these numbers right. 1,000 parts water to 1 part bluing. Now, are you familiar with what bluing is?
Is it just a blue dye?
Sort of. Very sort of. So it is a laundry, chemical's not even the right word. It's like a laundry tool. It's blue liquid.
Oh!
Yeah.
I use that on my sheets.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, so for everyone, it's made with a synthetic dye called Prussian blue. And the general idea is it's literally just water and dye. So it's now 1,000 parts water to 1 part Prussian blue, which is already 1,000 parts water to 1 part dye. And the general idea is if you have yellowed sheets, this blue dye will balance it out and make everything white.
Mm-hmm. And can tell you, it does work.
Yeah, and it's not toxic if it's 1 to 1,000 parts. As Morris Fishbane would put it, it would be the equivalent to throwing a bottle of bluing agent into Lake Michigan.
Amazing. Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's not going to kill anyone, but it's sure not going to cure you, and it's sure not going to make you more of a dude.
No.
Also, at this point, like, why wouldn't you just give them testosterone?
This is insane. Yeah, at least something. Like,
yeah.
Did he just... I'm beyond wondering what was going through his head, because he's pulling prostates out of a man's penis. So we're beyond the pale.
Part of me wonders if he was just getting nostalgic for his old days in Greenville, South Carolina, where he was just making a fuck ton of money selling colored water. And he's just like, yeah, let's bring that back. That worked out.
Yeah.
There are some positives, though, with his new process. And that's because his process now comes with amenities. You get something more than just your surgery. For instance, if you're getting the full prostate surgery, John is going to pay for your transportation round trip. Because he found out that once he didn't have this phone bill dangling over his head, he could literally pay for everyone's train ticket to come to town. No problem. And still have a ton of money left.
My God, but then why not just I guess, was airfare and such just cheaper then? I just feel like...
As far as I know, airfare was not an affordable option, really. And I mean, John flies his own plane, so I don't think he knows. But yeah, trains were just, just what people took. So I'm assuming, because everything I read is that people arrived by train because there's no airport in Del Rio either.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. I'm just trying to think, I guess I'm basing it off of our own current flight or travel prices for everything. I'm just like, how are you making a profit? But no,
No, he hooked up a deal with Spirit Airlines.
He's getting points off of this. He's getting miles.
It's a shitty point scheme. That's how he travels around the world, Una. It's why it's so affordable for him.
He's the points guy.
God damn it.
Trust him.
Motherfucker has so many Amazon gift cards. It is frustrating. So yeah, so that's one of the benefits. And we blew his business up because he's now being able to get people who were worried about the cost but wanted the surgery and are now just like, I can make myself pay $275. I could really, it's the Great Depression. I can sell something and make it possible. It's impossible if I'm adding train fare and lodging on top of that.
Right. Everything is terrible. This will make my dick hard.
Yes.
Let's
I'll finally be able to fuck my wife. And that'll fix everything. Del Rio and Ciudad Acuña also helped play the part in this because not only is he going to pay your way there, but both cities have brought in their own amenities to make them a vacation destination.
Nice.
So in Ciudad Acuña, they're bringing in gambling establishments, movie theaters, restaurants, all sorts of things. Over in Del Rio, you have, shopping, tons of hotels that you can stay at, more than just the Roswell Hotel. Because who wants to stay where you have your surgery? I mean, No. And so it just essentially turns into this huge vacation. And, one of the funnier sayings that John would have when he was on the radio is saying that Del Rio is where summer goes to vacation in winter.
Okay.
Yeah. And so you have all these people in the north who are in the middle of fucking winter in the Depression are like, fuck it. Yeah, Texas. I don't care. Yeah. You want to pull something out of my dick? I do not care.
The people are looking better because they actually got some vitamin D.
Wait, there's no dust storms here? I'm in. I'm good.
I'm down.
I'll just bail before the surgery. Maybe if I feel like it, I'll have the surgery. We'll see how it goes.
Cold north wind isn't blowing through my threadbare coat. Great. I'm going to have a grapefruit.
And so with these amenities, you suddenly get all these patients coming into these two towns. And once again, John has done something very good on accident because we're in the middle of the Great Depression. Both of these towns were struggling massively during this time. And within a year, he has pulled both towns out of the Great Depression. You now have multiple businesses. Everyone in town is either working at the hospital or other businesses have been able to expand and hire more people. And just you go from people struggling to live to fucking thriving when everyone else in the country was barely alive.
Right. It is actually the good side of like the tourist industry.
Exactly. Yeah. So as the hospital grew, he'd move out of the Roswell Hotel into his own building. One of the first purchases he made was of an iron lung, it's essentially this giant metal vacuum tube that helps you breathe and was the main treatment for polio at the time.
Right.
And John said, if you're a kid and you're suffering from polio, come into the hospital at any time, use it for free.
Oh.
Yeah. I hate the fact that John Brinkley keeps doing good shit because I want to purely hate him, but I can't. Yet. So the move wouldn't be all warm welcomes and easy victories, though. In February 1934, the Mexican government would take action on John's radio station. That year, the government had seen a change in leadership, and the new president, Lázaro Cárdenas, absolutely hated the border blaster stations that had been ignoring new regulations. XER would be fined off and on for their English broadcasts, medical advice, and for John claiming to be a doctor despite not having a medical license in Mexico. But John just kind of kept things going, just assuming, as he had for years, no one's actually going to enforce this. You can fine me, but no one's coming to get the money. So fuck you. Also, the other thing that is a huge advantage for John is he stayed in Texas most of the time, and you can't really cross the border to give someone a bill and then expect them to pay it. Like if he gave them a bill, he would just stay in Texas and not pay it. So finally, Cardenas had enough and issued a 30-day suspension against the station. John would have 3 days to prepare his legal defense to keep XER on the airwaves. And 11 days into that suspension, John had yet to stop broadcasting. So the Mexican military showed up and took the station. And John watched this all happen through a pair of binoculars across the river.
Shut the front door. What?
Yep. So initially, John wasn't really that worried. He was just like, we're going to make a deal. It's fine. Plus, he'd already begun expanding his radio empire in America. He'd bought stations in St. Joseph, Missouri, Abilene, Kansas, Colorado Springs, and Denver, Colorado. And he'd bought a pair of separate border blaster stations in Piedras Negras and Reynosa. He would even buy a second yacht, the Dr. Brinkley II. And the whole point of this yacht, based in Corpus Christi, was if he lost all of his radio stations, he could hop onto the boat, go out into international waters, and broadcast from the boat.
I knew there was going to be a yacht pirate radio.
Yeah, John has every plan, and they're all chaos.
It's all just to stay on air.
Yeah, it's, I hate to keep bringing Alex Jones up in this, but I get just a real Alex Jones energy from him sometimes.
Big time.
Between like the quack medicine and doing anything to stay on the radio and getting people hurt.
And not suffering enough consequences.
Yeah, he's like Alex Jones, only he's done good deeds on accident.
Yes. Yes.
So John developed a plan to save his radio station. He knew that he could no longer be the owner due to the regulations finally being pushed through. And so he quickly sold the station to associates in Mexico to satisfy the foreign ownership regulation. And this could have been a quick fix if it wasn't for the Mexican government's insistence that all the fines that were put in John's name should actually be put on the station's name, which makes sense. It's, we'll get to it, but the general idea is like, we're never going to get John to pay this. And it's actually his station that's doing things wrong. So we're going to put the fines on them. And the fines had accumulated to 600,000 pesos. It took a bit of looking, but I found an exchange rate for peso to dollars in 1934. Now, using those numbers, the new owners owed $58.3 million, which I'll remind you is in 1934 money.
Oh my God.
Today's money, they owed $1.2 billion to the Mexican government to get XER back on the airwaves.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it turns out when you completely ignore regulations and just fuck up daily, it adds up. So this business group owes $1.2 billion. John doesn't have the money for that. He's never had $1.2 billion.
Right.
So there's no way he could even loan them the money and be able to get the station back. But it could have been a plan if things just didn't get more ridiculous somehow. So an XER employee named Walter Wilson volunteered to go down to Mexico City and to try to sort out the whole thing on John's behalf. John would pay him $250 a month plus expenses, and he promised that if Walter got everything situated, he would promote him to station manager when all was said and done. So Walter went down to Mexico City, and it took him about a year, but he finally found a law firm willing to take on the case.
Wow.
He ended up picking good folks because they found a loophole that it was illegal for them to shift the fines from a person to a company. And so through this loophole, the $58.3 million in fines that this new innocent company was being asked to pay wiped away. Didn't have to do it.
I just keep thinking like that law firm's like, you're boning your own country out of so much necessary money in the middle of a worldwide depression. But like dig into that law.
Yeah. And so this new company is like, okay, we don't have to pay this. The station's ours. But John, I think we need about $200,000 to get everything back up and running. And until you do that, we're not going to give you the station back, and we're not going to fix it. And so John's pissed. He has been conned by con men, and you don't con a con man. It doesn't work out. So John went right across the border to Ciudad Acuña. He went to the most popular diner down there, who was run by a woman named Esther Crosby. And he's just sitting at the counter, I'm assuming drinking coffee over a plate of eggs. And it's just like, Esther, you won't believe what the fuck just happened. XER got stolen from me. Man, I really wish anyone could put a team together and figure out a way to get this station back from these fucking crooks. If only you knew anyone. And Esther, wanting to help out this guy who saved the town, says, well, I can make a team. I can pull some folks together and we'll get it back for you. And John said, great, that's awesome. If you can do that, I will let you have the station, which I will add is what they would have gotten anyway if they succeeded and just kicked out John.
What is all of this? This is so much shenanigan.
And so Esther puts together her team, and the team includes the Mexican consul in Del Rio, the mayor of Ciudad Acuña, and the state senator of Coahuila. And so
actual real people,
4 high government level people, and the owner of a diner go down to Mexico City. Una, they get it back. I don't know how. There are no details, but they get the station back.
This is amazing.
And being good people, they just give it to John.
No.
Well, technically, they couldn't give it to John because then he's violating procedure again. But, they're letting him go onto the radio anytime he wants for free.
This is so insane.
So Walter's made station manager despite all of this chaos. They renamed the station to XERA. And at this point, they kind of needed a little funding. So they started taking ads for things like Honey Tar cough syrup and O. Henry bars.
Love it.
But the station got up and running to full power of 1 million watts, which was the most powerful station in North America at the time.
Cow.
Locals described as when you look at the station tower at night, there's this green glow that was just coming off it at all times. Farmers would say that they heard country music playing from their fences. Just absurd shit. But
it's like a 50s sci-fi movie. It's like a Twilight episode.
Yeah, just like listening to the radio on your braces. Apparently that was real.
Oh my God.
Because people did not give a fuck about what they were doing. So now that his radio world is safe, John can return his focus on the medical side of things, which is good because now John isn't just running a hospital in Del Rio. He opened one up 350 miles away in San Juan, Texas, which just so happened to be right across the border from his other radio station in Reynosa. According to the ads he ran, instead of, transurethral fuckery, this hospital was going to focus on, quote, piles, fistulas, fissures, colitis, and diseases of the male and female rectum. That's right. This is a hospital about butt stuff.
I'm so glad we're so mature.
Or as John put it, quote, we are offering guaranteed treatment of your 2 sewers, your waterworks, and your garbage. Remember, Del Rio for the prostate and San Juan for the colon.
This guy, I mean...
It's hard to forget.
I'm starting to wonder if Dr. Nick from The Simpsons is based off of him. Like if some Simpsons nerd writer out of Harvard did his thesis on John Brinkley.
I believe it. He's just like constantly trying to write articles for the Crimson and like, we're good. We don't need this.
Please stop.
The Muse won't let me stop. I must talk about butt hospitals. For the first 5 years at the Brinkley hospitals in Texas, they were able to bring in $12 million, or in today's money, $246 million.
Holy shit.
Not only that, the Minnie had saved their money from Kansas brilliantly. From the book that I read, Minnie is credited as being the sole reason that John never went broke. That she was just,
Minnie?
She's like a financial genius when it came to fucking with money.
I love this for her.
So one of the things she did is that it's the Depression. It's a bad idea to put all your money in one bank. So she split it up amongst different banks in case one failed. For a period of time, they kept $200,000 in Toronto as a tax dodge. And then after 1935, when that tax went away, it brought the money back.
Love it.
But with all this cash, John let his philanthropy to the community run wild. He bought toys, candy, and fruit for all the children in the area. In the park in Del Rio, he always had 3 trucks there filled to the brim with apples, bananas, and oranges, and anyone could take them at any time. He donated heavily to the Shriners in Boys Town, and he also kept an open account at a local department store, where the general idea was if you're a kid and you need a coat or shoes, you walk in, you get your coat, it gets put on his bill, and then they settle up every month.
Yeah, it's so rough because like he's absolutely the Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk of his time, but like but he's not just like building cars that set on fire and having huge racist complaints emit out of his main office.
Look, it's cool. The cars will only lock you in when they're on fire.
It's like, well, go on your computer and look it up on YouTube how to get out, dumbass.
I'm sorry you're not smart enough for the car. Go buy a Fisker, you idiot. But you know what? If you're making all that money, Una, you got to treat yourself. You can't just let that money sit. You can't be a little Scrooge McDuck. Just, dive into your dollars or whatever they used at the time. I don't know, hardtack. And so the Brinkleys swung big with their house. This home is the sort of thing that would break Zillow Gone Wild. So I'm going to talk about it a lot, but it needs to be said. So the home they bought, he would eventually name Palm Drive and Hudson Gardens. It sat on 16 acres, but was very short on modern amenities when they bought it. So John put in a sewer system and a water line, which just like in Milford, he donated to the rest of the city and put the rest of the city on electricity and sewer. Their remodel ended up turning into an 18-home masterpiece. There were 5 baths, 2 toilets, an entire library that doubled as John's office, and probably my favorite little detail, an elaborate 2-story organ.
Oh, damn.
Apparently John loved organ music. It was his passion.
See, that's a great flex. If you're going to build like a sick McMansion, do something extremely weird.
Oh, girl, you haven't even heard about this fucking organ room. It is mad respect to John for this. As many terrible things as he's done and will do, this organ room should have been his life's work. So John had a whole addition to the home built for it. Not only did the Reuter Organ Company hand make the $7,725 organ, but they also designed the 40 by 60 foot room, which contained walnut paneling, 10 chandeliers from Czechoslovakia, a grand staircase, cathedral windows, and since John didn't play the organ, he hired a guy by the name of Joe O'Toole to be his kind of on-call organ player.
Yes.
So Joe's previous life before all this was he was the organist at Grauman's Chinese Theater before talkies became a thing.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, so he got the best to be his on-call organ player whenever he wanted to hear a tune. In other things they owned, he had china plates made with his home from Beda, North Carolina as the center design. His name was etched into every table setting, which I feel would be confusing if you were a guest because you wouldn't know where to sit.
Yeah.
They had a set of gold utensils that they only used on Sunday. They had a ballroom and a beer tap room, a game room with pearl inlay on the tables, a rosewood piano once owned by silent film star Norma Talmadge, and 4 grandfather clocks from Switzerland. Oh, and there's an outside. I forgot, Una, homes have outsides, and sometimes they can get really, really out of control. So this home is surrounded by 8-foot tall fences made of iron and brick. The main gate said Dr. Brinkley across it. And so when it opened up, it split his name. The first thing you saw while driving in was a replica statue of Winged Victory, which is a reproduction of Romulus and Remus suckling at the wolf who raised them before they founded Rome.
Oh,
John
had
had
tip to his middle name.
Yeah, his middle name that he legally had changed.
Oh, right.
Yeah, he initially had bought the statue to be his tombstone, but he kind of felt like this is a better use for it.
Well, you might as well enjoy it
die.
before it's the head of you 6 feet under.
And that's kind of utilitarian. I kind of like that. Yeah. To buy a really nice statue, just be like, fuck it, haul it to the cemetery. That's your problem. There were also 3 fountains that shot water 30 feet in the air. There was a tennis court, a garden full of roses, cypress trees, and palms, a 4-car garage, despite him owning 12 cars, with a living space above the garage. He brought in Galapagos turtles and flamingos to walk the property, at least until the flamingos died during the first winter.
Oh.
He also came to really hate the turtles because whenever he was driving home, there would always be a turtle in the driveway. And he was so mad that they took so long to cross the street.
Well, man, they're older than you and they're going to outlive you. So just chill.
Make a turtle fence. I don't know what to tell you, man. They will not climb it.
Don't bring them up from the Galapagos where they were perfectly fine.
We're doing okay. And then there's the pool, the grand centerpiece of this whole fucking house. It cost $14,000 or $300,000 today. And this pool had everything. A 14-foot springboard diving board, chrome ladders. It was connected to the house, and it was intricately tiled with black replicas of the Iron Cross and tiny swastikas.
From Buddhism, right?
It's probably time that we talk about John's Nazi turn.
No! We were talking about a pool, Dusty. You were taking me on a fabulous rich man's silo tour.
What? When you're swimming in a pool, don't you want to be reminded of someone's terrible political ideology?
Of all the places, like you might as well have just continued discussing other aspects of the house. And it's like, oh, and now we've reached the topiary of the gardens. And yeah, he had a life-size statue of Hitler saluting his soldiers.
I think that's why the turtles were always trying to cross the road when he got home.
It's like, get me the fuck away from this guy.
Fuck you and your Nazi shit. I'm 300 years old. I don't deserve this. I watched 20
I know fascism when I see it. Lived long enough.
And so John was probably introduced to Nazism and fascism around 1932. So the last episode, we talked about the endorsements that he got in that race, and one being a creature by the name of Gerald Burton Winrod. And Winrod was very much into fascism in his preaching, which is a great combination. Never anything going wrong with that. And Gerald was a full tilt Nazi who had been invited to Germany as a special guest of Hitler in 1934. He would subsequently aid the Nazis in delivering communications to allies in America and spread information for their very awful cause.
Yikes.
And in 1938, he's like, fuck it, I'm running for senator.
Yikes. No.
So he's running in the Republican primary. And our old friend, Clyde Reed, who's a dick at work and doesn't care who knows, is running for Senate also. And Gerald decides to use this campaign to spread the word on how much he thinks Hitler is just the best. John would donate his supporter list from his campaign in 1932 to Winrod. And from there, they sent out 150,000 pamphlets to households across Kansas. John's campaign newspaper publicity would pivot to a full-throated support for fascism and Hitler during this time as well. John also took shit to the extreme by donating $5,000, or in today's money, a bit over $100,000, to a guy named William Dudley Pelley. Now, one day we will do an episode on old Billy Pelley, but the thing to know right now is he essentially was angling to be the Hitler of America. He founded an organization called the Silver Shirts, to be our comparison to the brown shirts, if you will.
Sure.
And yeah, his whole goal was just to bring Nazism to America.
I hear Silver Shirts and I think of clubbing in the 90s.
I do too. It's like Eurodance.
Yes.
I'm sure at the time it's
shiny,
very
it's
cool.
Polyester. Don't get it near a flame.
Another dream about Nazis. I mean, they do have the ace of base vote, so.
I'm blue, da da dee.
Fuck off. Fuck off. And so, yeah, so not a great look, but I mean, he at least didn't hide it, I guess. I mean, you know.
I'm not surprised. Like, you do that many wackadoo procedures on human bodies.
Yeah.
You're going to look to Nazis and their eugenics and be like, you know what?
God.
Pretty cool.
You know, you cut enough goat balls off, you think to yourself, maybe Hitler has a point.
Maybe we're just not using the right kind of goats.
So in a more lighthearted version of fucked up of what they did with their money, John started investing in farmland. And this whole investment period of his life was kicked off by buying the farm of the Wyke family. If you remember old Sally Wyke, the first wife, the spurned lover.
Damn.
Well, the Wyke family had fallen on hard times. No thanks to Sally's friend burning down their shit on more than one occasion. And Laura Wyke would ask an intermediary to say, hey, do you think John might want to buy this? We kind of need help. And at first, John was like, fuck you, not doing it, burn in hell. I hate all of you. But after about a week, he's like, you know what? Maybe that's a good idea. And he bought the family farm. And then he moved on to it. He made a summer home on the Wyke family farm.
This is so bitchy.
So fuck you, Sally. Who's the fake unsuccessful doctor now? Fuck off.
God, the will they or won't they is just burning up here.
I mean, if the will or won't is murder, yes, it is.
You know, it's just a whole lot of like enemies to lovers to enemies to real serious enemies. And I'm into it.
Like, I'm just imagining him just Donald ducking around the property all day, just being like, what the fuck are you going to do? This is my place. You only live on it at my leisure. Starts throwing rocks at Claude, asking him how he likes it.
Takes away his lighter.
So, sad side note to this is old Johnny Boy, their son in all of this, is having a rough childhood whenever the family goes to North Carolina for the summer. So his parents give him a sack of dimes to just have during the day in case he needs to buy a Coke or a car. And
right.
And he's always wanted to play with the local boys because he's a kid and you want to play with kids your age. And the local boys figure out that if you tell them you can play with us, it's just going to cost you a dime per kid here. He would pay them, and he paid them every day. And a dime at the time is $2. So these terrible kids are making bank off this bad rich child.
I mean, this is just no good all around. You know, those kids needed that money.
No, it's. I mean, it's the Depression, so they probably were like, here, parents, don't die. I suckered the rich child. Please buy bread.
Poor Johnny Boy.
But if you're starting to get worried that a medical quack and confirmed Nazi is going to live the rest of his life free of brutal karma, I am glad to say that it may have missed a few trains. It's showing up late, but karma's here, and it's going to be making up for lost goddamn time.
Choo-choo.
No. Making all stops. We don't stop in Milford anymore. That's why it took so long. Oh no. So the first thing to go wrong, John's dominance of the North American radio waves would come to an end in 1937. Big radio stations across America were being drowned out in their own cities. And if something wasn't done, then it would be virtually impossible for a radio station to open in America and have any faith that could actually be heard. So America and Canada, they had to make a concession. All this fucking tough acting, they were finally realizing, hey, maybe we should stop being dicks.
What a concept.
They call up Mexico and Cuba, meet in Havana, and they're like, hey guys, here's what we're going to do. We're going to give you some airways, and we're going to make sure that you can have your own radio that you can hear, as long as we all adhere to these wavelengths, and we'll stop being dicks. Is it a deal? And they said, yes, finally, it's a fucking deal. It would take a few years to iron out the details, but the agreement would be ratified by all the countries in 1940. In this agreement, the Mexican government placed a blanket ban on medical advice and astrology on the radio.
Boo!
Kind of pointed, but you know. But by this point, John had already sold most of his border stations and had bowed out of media in general. He did try to hold on to XERA and Ciudad Acuña, which the Mexican government had shut down because allegedly he was broadcasting news sympathetic to the Nazis. But we'll get back to the station not having a good time in a bit. Second thing going wrong, local doctor James Middlebrook got himself an idea. So James had been a doctor in Del Rio for a number of decades, and he saw how good things were going for John, and he thought to himself, ethics are not good for money. I should do what he's doing, but cheaper, because he's not doing anything, so I can charge less, because it's nothing.
Because it's just bluing in water.
It's like a mercurochrome injection, a couple slices, and a sew. That costs nothing. And so what James Middlebrook did is he essentially advertised himself as the Kirkland brand of prostate surgery.
Oh my God.
He opened his new surgery practice in the oddly named Middlebrook Hotel. He would claim to do the exact same procedure as John, which John said was impossible because no one ever saw him doing the procedure. So that guy's a liar. And then would go down to the train station when John's patients arrived, go up to them and be like, hey, why don't you come to my place? It'll be a little cheaper. You already got round trip tickets. What the fuck do you have to lose?
Oh my God.
And just started poaching clients. Now to James, he wasn't doing anything wrong because John was getting so many people coming every single day that he assumed 2 doctors could be in town doing the same procedure and not lose any business. It was just always going to be busy. All he was doing was just, making space for these other people.
Mm-hmm.
And John lost his mind. On his radio program, he started referring to James Middlebrook as the one-eyed skunk, that if anyone tells you that they're doing this procedure, to write John immediately to let them know who it was. And he started going around to businesses saying, you need to stop selling to James Middlebrook because if you don't, I'm going to make sure you lose your business and no one shops here.
Damn, John.
And then he hired goons.
No.
So what the deal was is, since James Middlebrook is down there having people be like, hey, I got cheap prostate. You want to, I'll slice up your dick for less.
Just opening up his shady trench coat, being like,
I got all the testicles, man. Quail elephant. Elephant's back home. It's kind of heavy.
Do you need virility?
God damn it. And so John started sending his own people down to the train station to pick people up and to try to cut them off at the pass. Probably one of the more violent incidents that happened was one of John's dudes is at the train station. He's picking up a guy. One of James' people shows up and intercepts the dude, being like, hey, you should come with me instead. And in retaliation for this, John's guy ran him over with a car.
Holy shit. Manslaughter.
Oh, no, the guy lived.
Okay. All right.
Those old timey cars. And John responded to this by giving the guy who ran the dude over a promotion as Johnny Boy's personal bodyguard.
Yeah, that fits.
Yeah, I mean, if, you give a goon the job he works for.
Yeah, it's like, this guy is going to go to the fullest lengths for my kid.
And so by 1938, John was just sick of the competition. He was already dealing with so much. The last thing he needed was to have to worry about this as well. And, with all the issues that were going on with XER and, not knowing whether he was going to get it or not, or if the Mexican government was going to take it away, he decided he would just leave town. He would go to Little Rock, Arkansas, mainly because Arkansas was the only state left where he was licensed to practice medicine.
Oh my God, who hadn't already figured out his con?
Yeah, well, and also because all the other states that gave him a license were due to reciprocity from Arkansas.
All right, yeah. Damn it, Arkansas.
So the Del Rio Hospital kept going, but other people were in charge of looking it over. But it was kind of no longer the mecca for treatment that made Del Rio so popular. Even on the radio, John started announcing that the Brinkley Hospital is now in Little Rock, Arkansas. It's not in Del Rio. You want to come to Arkansas for the right thing. He would end up buying an old hospital in Little Rock, moved all his stuff and staff there. And once again, he had his prostate monopoly all to himself. He would even buy a shuttered country club just south of the city, purely as a convalescence hospital, where you get your surgery in Little Rock, then they drive you out to this picturesque old golf course where you have only 6 days to recover. And if you don't, get the fuck out, because we have more people.
Sit on that frozen bag of peas and pray to God.
I mean, trains aren't bumpy, right?
Oh.
So John is spending time, he'd spend half his time in Del Rio, half his time in Little Rock, and decided that for tax purposes, he would remain a citizen of Texas. I guess it was a better deal. It also allowed him to keep voting in Texas. But wait, we're talking about karma finally showing up. And you can't have karma destroy John Brinkley without Morris Fishbane coming to town.
Hey, our foil.
Yeah, and Morris, he's already pissed off about the colored water injections that he's been given to people after this newfangled bullshit. But the AMA also got word that John had tried to create an anti-AMA group of doctors to spread their cause to the public. I don't know, sort of like a medical frontline of doctors who were, against commonly believed medical thought. Something we wouldn't have today. The good news, though, is it didn't work out. They didn't have the money to make it work, and all the doctors who tried to make it work just weren't as committed as John was, so it ended up falling out. But Morris is still pissed that he tried. Frustrating with never having fully ruined John, Morris decided once and for all to just get it all out in one article. Just scream at the page and just let it lie. And in 1938, he published an article in Hygienia, that revealed every single con and fraud that John had used to make himself a millionaire during the worst financial times of the country's history. During this, he would eschew his proper medical tone that he usually used and just went pure scathing asshole throughout the whole fucking thing in a medical journal.
Nice.
Now, what happened next would completely baffle and overjoy Morris, because Hygienia isn't exactly the sort of magazine that everyone's getting. It's not like people I get Life, I get Time, and Hygienia. Can't have Tuesdays without Hygienia. And so he really just could have ignored this and lived the rest of his life with his patients without ever finding out about this article. But for some reason, this broke John's patience with Morris. And he decided, fuck you, I'm suing you for libel. And I'm suing you for $250,000, or about $5 million in today's money. And Morris essentially replied, oh no, don't do that.
No, don't open yourself up to discovery.
It's not even Christmas yet. Why are you doing this? The trial would begin on March 22nd in 1939 in Dallas. And like a lot of big deal court cases of the era, people lined up in the halls to get a seat inside. There would typically be more room in the courtroom, but the judge said no standing room. And so there were a lot more people waiting in the hallways for people to leave so they could steal a seat. The Del Rio High School would also send their civics class to observe the proceedings. I think what they thought is like, oh, we're going to see high-minded court and process. And what they actually got was hours of detailed anatomy charts depicting the male penis and the prostate. Congratulations, you have porn now. Best of luck keeping your job, sir.
Congratulations. Your civics course tripped and fell into a health course.
You aren't supposed to know about any of this. John's team initially chose to bring in as many witnesses as they could to say that, yes, I got the treatment and it's fucking great. My dick has never been better. My wife is happy. It's been great.
In no way am I perjuring myself.
No. And the AMA were like, okay, we're expecting this. So what our plan B is going to be, we're going to find out how many people they're bringing in and bring in that exact number of people who have had their lives ruined to counterbalance that. But their plan A is really freaking smart. Is that they started questioning one of the patients who had really loved his procedure. And before the first question was even done, they objected. They walked up to the judge and they're like, look, you can't count this because this is a layman giving themselves a medical diagnosis. And as such, that's not allowable testimony. This is just a guy who has no bearing and no knowledge on whether this worked or not. So judge clears the room. They talk for about an hour. And eventually he's like, yeah, none of these can be witnesses. It has to be experts.
Boom. No anecdotal evidence here.
According to the papers, the 20 old men that they had brought apparently left as if their favorite friend had died. And were just like heads hung walking out of the courtroom.
Talk about how hard they were.
I want everyone to know. So instead, the jury ends up getting 10 days of medical professionals supporting and debunking John's theories via charts and data. And I just want to fall asleep even talking about it, which is why I'm going to bring up the ridiculous thing that John's team focused on. In the article, Morris had stated that John had been antisocial during his vacations. And the theory was he was antisocial because he was ashamed of what he had been doing in the States and didn't want people to know who he was on these trips. And this is based off of a transatlantic voyage from London to America that Morris and John accidentally were on at the same time. Their kids, Johnny Boy and Morris's daughter, hung out for a while. They were like 10 at the time. Hung out for a bit until they found out who their dads were.
Awkward.
Stopped. Yeah.
Oh, damn it. It was probably the best friend that Johnny Boy had.
Yeah. Morris had based his belief that the Brinkleys were antisocial just on that, because Morris supposedly walked circles around John Brinkley until he noticed he was there. And then John looked up and then went right back to his book and then just watched him the whole time being antisocial because his nemesis is on a boat that takes 3 months to get across an ocean.
Yeah, no, that's a man who just wants to read in peace.
Yeah. I don't know. Wait, it's probably 2 days. I don't know how fast boats go then.
Oh, I have no clue. I thought it was a week.
It might be a week. Yeah, it could be. Yeah, that makes more sense. Let's say a week. Yeah,
right.
It's probably a man who wants to enjoy his book, but also just not want to be quizzed by his nemesis on the ocean.
Yeah, fucking hell.
Yeah.
He's on vacation, for Christ's sake.
International waters. Anything could happen. And so John's team decides to really hammer on this as being destructively libelous. And the judge just lets it happen, but no one seems to care. So as a show of John's ego, he decides he's going to take the stand.
Oh, no.
And the judge literally says, I need you to know if you're going to do this, your entire life is fair game. because that's what the article is about. It's about your upbringing, your studies, who you worked under, the various cons you may or may not have done. Your entire life is fair game.
Yeah.
To which John says, no, it's not.
A judge is saying this to you, dude.
The judge is giving you advice. 1 billion times out of 1 billion, take it.
Money can't save you here.
And so the defense is questioning John about every medical thing he's ever done, his education, his training, his early cons, the science behind his current con. Oh, also, how much money do you make? How many cars do you have? How many diamonds do you own? And like these particular questions are actually softening him up a bit. He's answering these questions honestly. He's genuinely thinking them through. He's getting laid back. And then, against the advice of his own legal counsel, when he's questioned about how the goat gland procedure works, he starts answering. And so he's doing all the song and dance about how it works. But when questioned with the scientific inaccuracies of like, how can a goat gland merge into human tissue and become one? How can you do these procedures without killing the tissue that you're working on? Mm-hmm. And for the first time in his life, he is having to answer these questions and is freaking out. He is flubbing his whole way through, to the point that he admits on the stand that the goat gland operation is patently impossible and does not work.
Oh, dude.
The AMA defense lawyer would tell the jury that Doc Brinkley's ad should more accurately state, quote, Doc Brinkley is the foremost money-making surgeon in the world because he had sense enough to know the weaknesses of human nature and gall enough to make $1 million a year out of it. Following the trial, about a few weeks after the judge and this lawyer would run into each other, it turns out they'd actually been schoolmates at law school. And he would say, this guy, that is the most effective summation I have ever heard.
I can't believe he got like network TV law procedured. Like
a thing that never happens in law ever.
It's like, oh, we're just going to lull the suspect into like, we're just going to play into his ego. And then he's just going to open up like a ripe fruit.
Yeah. It's like the fact that actually happened with this guy is that his guard was so down and felt so invincible after years of getting away with shit that he just stumble fucked his way into losing. So after 4 hours of deliberation, the jury found Morris Fishbane not guilty of libel.
What a shock.
Yeah. 4 hours is not a great sign.
Yeah. That's when you know they got lunch just to stretch it out and not look like assholes.
Look, guys, first question. Not guilty, right?
All right.
Great.
Let's
Arby's? Let's do
right.
Arby's. No, TGI Fridays. Let's treat ourselves.
Let's get some milkshakes.
Yeah. Milkshakes in the Texas heat? Fuck yeah. So John would appeal all the way up to the Supreme Court, but every single court said, I am not doing that, sir. This is done.
Hard pass. Sent back.
In the words of the whitest kids you know, you have fucked up now. And so now that John has admitted in court under oath that his whole procedure in Milford was a complete lie, suddenly that opens him up for wrongful death suits that occurred during that time.
Oh, and just how many are there? Oh, no.
About $3 million worth or $62.4 million today.
Oh, damn.
John attempted to skirt these suits first by hiding out in Tennessee and just not going to court. So there's a thing a judge can do called an immediate judgment if you don't show up. And so he immediately found for the plaintiffs. Yeah, it's yours. You win. Mazel. Have fun. And so John realized he had to start actually going to court after this. It's around this time. Well, I mean, it's not really bad financial troubles also, unless the Internal Revenue Service decides to get involved. And they've been working for about 5 years to undo this knot of finances that the Brinkleys had created between each other. And by the time they were done, they found that the Brinkleys owed about $115,000 in back taxes and fraudulent write-offs.
I'm surprised that was it. I mean, I know we're talking really like 30s money, but
once again, it goes to show how good Minnie was at hiding shit, because yes, that should have been way higher.
And he's even listing off all his shit in court, being like, let's talk about my Rolls Royces. What up?
I put diamonds in a sock and kill the turtles for not going faster.
Oh,
make them walk faster, damn it. So to try to balance out these losses, John chose to try and make some quick cash. This is always a good idea. He bought a flight school in Kansas City because it's World War II and, you need pilots. The way he fucked up, though, is that in the ads for the flight school, the ad essentially said, would you prefer this or this? One side was flight school. The other side was boot camp, and insinuated that if you joined this flight school, you wouldn't get drafted. which was not the case.
Oh, no.
They also had an issue that when you paid the application fee, you would not get that money back if you were refused entrance. And so, I mean, I guess you could do that if you're a college, but not a flight school. So that went really bad really quickly, and John had to sell the business for a loss. The Brinkleys would start to sell off what they could. And by that, I mean, they tried to hide all their money. The Arkansas hospital system would be the first to go, with John selling it to one of his staff. The court got wind of this, nullified the sale, and immediately put the whole thing into receivership. The Brinkleys would transfer their stocks and land into Johnny Boy's name, which is a real dick thing to do, but they did legitimately sell a few things. His second plane was sold to the Canadian government to be used as a training plane. The U.S. Navy bought his third yacht.
He got a third yacht during this?
It had a piano on it.
At least it wasn't an organ.
He bought it from a Hollywood director, if I remember correctly.
I love that.
Yeah. He also stripped the whole thing of valuables before the Navy bought it, but
took out the carpet.
And then they sold the remaining properties as quickly as they could make a deal. Texas state law did say, though, that his life insurance, his current home, the mansion in Del Rio, and his personal clothing could not be seized to repay lawsuits, just for basic dignity reasons, I assume. So John decided to close out about $345,000 from his life insurance to keep afloat, to which the IRS said, oh, we'll be placing a lien on that. That's ours now. Because they don't have to follow Texas law. They got federal law. So go in, fuck yourself, sir. In 1940, near bankruptcy, John would get one last chance. The city of Del Rio passed an ordinance banning other doctors from undercutting and stealing patients. The ordinance also begged the Brinkleys to return to town and resume their practice. John took everything he could from the Arkansas hospitals, with a number of Del Rio businessmen buying up the equipment that John wasn't able to take, and moved into the Roswell Hotel once again, with the plan of just reopening the hospital once it's built. But before he could open the hospital, John did what I always love. He decided to run for office again.
Why? I mean, aside from just like a last grasp con.
Yeah, it's just like, it was when he was last happiest is my best guess. It's, he was close to smiting his enemies, and everyone loved him at these rallies, and
he had that phone line.
Got to discover fascism and Nazism. It was good times. So this time John is going to be running to be the U.S. Senator for Texas. A special election had been called after Senator Morris Shepherd passed of a brain hemorrhage on April 9th, 1941. A dude by the name of Andrew Jackson Houston, a former U.S. Marshal and ardent white supremacist, was appointed to fill the spot, but really didn't have any interest in keeping the job because he was in his late 80s at the time, was just doing this as a favor, and he would hold the office until the conclusion of the special election, which was a full 2 months and 1 week, or at least he would have if he didn't die 2 days before the election. So Shepherd had been senator in Texas since 1913. And I kind of have the feeling that people are just like, well, it could be another 30 years before this opens up again. So anyone and everyone of clout decided, I'm going to run for this race. Let's see what the fuck happens. And there's no primaries. It's just everyone enters in, and whoever gets the top vote wins.
It's like when the hot kid in school finally becomes single.
God.
Everyone just like comes out of the woodwork.
Look, I'm not gonna win, but I'm sure as hell gonna fucking try.
I'm gonna throw my hat in the ring.
I'm gonna buy some Walgreens chocolates on sale, and we're gonna see if Russell and Stover can make this work.
I'm gonna check the operation hours for that Red Robin in town. We are doing this.
I would have gotten that second date if Red Robin wasn't stingy with the bottomless fries. So literally everyone's entering this race. You had Congressman Martin Dees Jr., State Attorney General Gerald Mann, future U.S. President Lyndon Baines Johnson, and Governor of Texas Pappy O'Daniel, all entering this race. In total, at one point, 28 people would be running for this office, including Doc Brinkley. John would announce his candidacy on May 12th, setting up for a whirlwind campaign of 47 days. Nothing he hasn't done before.
Yeah, piece of cake. Let's do this.
John set up his platform to include old age pensions, free healthcare for the poor, and supporting the labor movement. It kind of also seems, and I'm basing this just on newspaper articles I was reading, that Minnie was his campaign chief of staff, because she was the one who announced he was running and said what his platform was.
She's good with money. I mean, he can do a lot worse.
Look, he did not deserve Minnie Brinkley.
That's truly the through line in all of this.
The more I read, I really hope Minnie also wasn't a Nazi, because it would really destroy a lot of goodwill that I am feeling. I'm sure, I don't think she would have allowed a swastika pool if she wasn't, but
yeah,
I don't know.
putting that aside, I feel like if, like, in my mind, Minnie invented the concept of the Cayman Islands in terms of, financially speaking.
Yeah. It's, offshore accounts, I'll fucking do it. Never been to Toronto. I'll make it work.
We should be calling them mini accounts.
Yeah. Damn it, Minnie Brinkley. Fuck. Like, in a girl boss world, who knows what you could have done? What crazy ass bullshit you would have pulled on Kickstarter. So one thing that he had on his side is that he had yet to sell the old ammunition train #1. And he wanted to pull this thing out of storage and just revamp the 1932 campaign. He was going to run the exact same way that he had nearly a decade before. It was
the world isn't like it was.
No, man. Things are the same. People love truck radio. People love weird rallies and being yelled at from 5 miles away. It's what the public wants. The problem, though, is John is flat broke. At any point, he had between, according to him, $7 and $43,000, somewhere in there.
Oh,
not the sort of money that you could run a campaign on. And he would note that he didn't exactly have the money to fund the campaign himself. He would state, quote, "The funding of my campaign would be a free will offering from the people of Texas who love and trust me." A very nice way of saying, please give me money.
Please give and give generously.
One, money, please. Remember Apple Truck and Park? Money, please.
Icon has dime. Play with me.
Johnny boy, please give me a dime so you hang out with me. So newspapers across the state wrote of Doc running for office. John would promise an old-fashioned campaign, like I said, and he would eventually make the audacious claim that Governor Pappy O'Daniel had only entered the race because John had. He didn't expand on this thought, but he believed it. It wouldn't take long before the campaign began to fall apart. 2 weeks after announcing his candidacy, John Brinkley declared bankruptcy. By this point, John owed $1 million or $19.7 million today in claims. Due to their finances being a Gordian knot of semi-legal laundering, Minnie was also forced to declare involuntary bankruptcy as well. This would also explain why he still hadn't actually started his promised statewide campaign tour. But at one point, he told the newspaper, "Don't worry about it. 1st of June, I'm going to set the dates. You're going to know where I'm going to be. It's all good." Then the 1st of June passed and no one heard anything. On June 5th, John would officially end his campaign and immediately endorse Pappy O'Daniel. And then he hopped a flight for a brief vacation and business trip to Mexico City.
I'm sorry, what?
So it sounds like he's, skipping town and doing a me trip. What he was actually doing was going down to argue with the Mexican government one last time to try to keep his radio station operating.
Oh, I wish I could quit you, radio station.
So despite dropping out of the race before the election even happened, John was able to get 257 votes, which is good enough for 8th out of 14 who were still running.
Okay, that's middle of the pack.
Yeah, Pappy O'Daniel ends up winning. He beats Lyndon Johnson by 1,311 votes.
LBJ, well, yeah, he turned out okay.
Yeah, don't shed a tear for LBJ. He's doing fine. So on September 22nd, 1941, shit got even worse when John and Minnie were both found guilty of mail fraud for sending prescriptions to people in other states where they did not have a license to practice medicine. Also, they were selling some kind of sex serum from Europe that would, quote, cause men and women to live to be 100 years old. And I hate to break it to you, John, that's called ecstasy. And it only makes you say multiple times you're going to live to 100. That's it. Somehow John still found time to try and fight the Mexican government to return XERA to him. And it kind of seemed to be the one thing that was keeping him alive.
Oh,
because shortly after the Mexican government said, "Hey, this isn't going to happen. The station is ours. You broadcast Nazi shit. You're ignoring our regulations. This is ours. Go away." And the second he landed back in Texas, he had a coronary occlusion, which is sort of a symptom of a heart attack. It's like a coronary artery getting blocked in your heart. So not quite a heart attack, but it's step one.
Well, slap some goat gonad on that.
I need a goat heart. Who's going to sell me a goat heart now?
Slap a little goat heart on that heart.
Just sneaking into barns and stealing goat hearts.
Slap it on the artery.
Look, that's how this works. Goat heart into the vas deferens. I'm sure it'll be fine. So he has this coronary occlusion, and his own doctor says, "Hey, John, I know you're a doctor, but take my advice. You should go on 80 days of bed rest and not do fucking anything." Which John has never done before in his life, and decided, I don't need to do that. I'm a doctor.
I'm the doctor.
I'll take an herb about it. It's good. And so this caused the clot that was in his heart to dislodge, move through his body, and it ended up in his left leg, where it stayed. And this led to gangrene of his leg, and he had to have it amputated just above the knee.
Holy cow.
He would note in a future letter that the procedure did not go well, and the bone would become infected, causing him chronic pain.
Oh.
While recuperating from the procedure, he also had his first heart attack.
So still,
It's I think God's giving you a clue that maybe you fucked up.
I feel like this is the karma coming home.
Yeah. This is just it's one after another on this. We're halfway at this point. So on April 6, 1942, John was scheduled to begin his trial for mail fraud, but was too sick to be able to go to San Antonio. Minnie, however, did go. She pled no contest and got a $5,000 fine and 3 years probation. 1 month later, John would have a second heart attack and fell into a brief coma, a light temporary coma.
A nap.
Yeah, a really stressful nap.
Yeah.
On May 6th, the hospital had to amputate his leg even further due to the infection that was there. 20 days later, with his condition failing, John would pass in the middle of the night from a mix of heart disease and further infection of his amputated leg. And John would be buried in Minnie's hometown of Memphis. As for Minnie, she dealt with the bankruptcy fallout as best she goddamn could. She would sell their property in North Carolina to the Cherokee Nation, got a decent lawyer to help her deal with a lot of the other money issues, and eventually things just sorted out. She would continue to live in the Del Rio mansion, despite trying to sell it both in 1949 and 1962 because it's a fucking huge house, and she did not want to live in a house alone that was that big.
Yeah, plus the swastikas just got really dated and gauche.
Look, we tried to paint the pool. They bleed through. She would eventually get an offer in 1978 for $155,000, which was about 40% less than they paid to have it built in the 30s.
Wow.
And it still stands today, fully restored, and is a major tourist destination if you go to Del Rio.
I have to ask, is the pool also fully restored?
You can't see the pool from Google Maps, but the house is pink stucco.
All right.
So, I mean, it looks pretty keen. It's no longer on 16 acres either because the people who bought it decided to subdivide all the land behind the house.
Yeah.
Which,
makes sense.
Great idea.
What everyone does.
The town of Milford would end up dying on its own in 1962.
Yikes.
The Army Corps of Engineers created the Milford Dam, and in creating it, flooded the entire town.
Wow, so fuck you, Milford.
Yeah, it's just gone. People got $1,000 for their property, and it's gone.
That's it?
I'm sure it was a lot in 62 money. I don't know.
Yes.
Minnie would repeatedly petition the Corps to place a buoy on the location where the old hospital used to be, and that request was repeatedly denied.
Aww.
As for Johnny Boy, he decided before graduating high school there is no way in hell he's going to be a doctor. It was his dad's plan. It was the whole trust fund that he had set up for his kid, and he just, after witnessing his dad's life, decided, I'm good. He ends up going to Yale, double majored in psychology and Spanish, and then got his law degree from the University of North Texas. He'd parlay his career into a brief stint with the CIA, where he documented the rise of Fidel Castro's revolution and became pretty good pals with Raul Castro in the process.
Okay, Johnny Boy.
Yeah,
I was not expecting this.
He also kind of got duped by Raul, though, because Raul repeatedly told him, this isn't going to be a communist regime. You guys are overreacting. Don't worry about it.
And he was like, you're like a dad to me, Raul.
Okay. Following this, Johnny tried to enter a multitude of careers that just really didn't work. He tried to get into law, but it never quite worked out. He opened a photography studio in New York City. That didn't work out. And eventually he moved back to Del Rio and ran the family lumber yard, which is one of the few businesses that didn't get seized during the bankruptcy. It's during this time he also ended up having a very long bout with alcoholism, and Johnny would end up taking his life in 1976.
Oh.
As for Minnie, one of the things I like about Minnie is during this period after there was a high school, I believe in Nebraska, that had heard the story of Brinkley and his goat gland procedure and decided, let's just do a project on this, a history project. And they went down and interviewed Minnie.
Nice.
And she was kind of so touched by the interest that she gathered up all of John's papers, all the papers that she had kept, and donated them to the Topeka Historical Society. So all of his papers exist forever in this institution.
That's kind of dope.
As for Minnie, she would pass in 1980 and is buried alongside John in Memphis. It's kind of a weird ending because I want something bigger, but all these end with death. Every episode we do, for the most part, is going to end with death. So there's that. But I will say I do owe a lot of thanks for this episode due to the book that was a primary source for this, called The Bizarre Careers of John R. Brinkley by R. Alton Lee. R. Alton was a history professor at the University of South Dakota for a number of years.
Nice.
Ended up retiring in 95 and has spent the rest of his life writing niche books about Kansas history.
Dope.
So he has a book on this. He has a book about the agrarian radicalism in the 19th century, a whole book on medical quackery. It's like, dude has interests and I love him.
Yeah.
This particular book was fucking amazing. There's so much I left out because it's, I don't want to do a book report so no one buys his book.
Right.
And there is another book about Brinkley, I believe, called it's something like Goat Nuts or like Gonads or something like that. And it's like the Barnes and Noble book you would see about it that got really, really big. Got purchased for movie rights that initially was going to star, I believe, Sam Rockwell or then Matt Damon for a bit. It's in development hell. It's probably never going to get made because the dude's a Nazi and it's kind of hard to make that your main character.
It's so awkward, but I mean, should be brought to light.
Mm-hmm. But, not to compare and contrast, our Alton Lee's book is infinitely better. It's very, very good. It's less showy, I would say. It's very good with details, and the details that are included are amazing.
Nice.
So yeah, that's the story of John R. Brinkley, the sort of doctor turned politician who ran in 5 races, won one of them, and served 0 days in office.
A wild ride.
It's so nuts. I hate how many parallels there are between this guy and our modern days. It's very awful. And
so
I didn't
many. And it's all like, I'm always uncomforted by any reminder of how truly like modern medicine is still kind of young.
Yeah.
Like we're still barely figuring shit out.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, modern medicine, psychology in general is a baby science. It is like we just learned the last century that maybe you shouldn't torture people you're experimenting on.
Yeah.
It's it's a wild science, but yeah, it's to have so many of these things being so new. And for the medical practice that John focused on with eclectic medicine was considered a serious medicine a century ago. Not that long ago.
Not long at all.
Valid care. And still is today if you do essential oils, because it's essentially the same thing.
Okay, you know what? Don't at me with my essential oils.
Hey,
they're very calming.
It's fine for aromatherapy. It's totally, if you want a candle, fine. If you want to cure your gout, go to a doctor, sir. Yeah. So we're going to take a break after this episode. I was not expecting it to be as depressing as it was, but yeah, we're going to be taking a week off between this and whatever we decide to do next. I still have no clue. I keep trying to find a fun episode and then serious shit keeps happening during the readings. So we'll figure it out. But yeah, feel free to send recommendations to our Twitter, GadflyPod at Twitter.
What do you want to hear, listeners?
I'm so bad at hawking our stuff, but yeah. So I don't know. Any final thoughts, Una?
I mean, it does complicate my upcoming procedure to have goat nads placed on my lady parts.
Inside or outside?
Oh, inside.
Oh, okay, good. All right.
Yeah.
My minimal knowledge, thanks to public school. Only 2 lady parts. There's the outside and the in.
The part that will help my virility.
Yeah. Wait, you don't have a prostate?
No, that I'm getting a goat's prostate.
Oh, okay, good. That would be so embarrassing to admit over the internet radio. Well, if we had a Patreon, it would be for your prostate. Anyway,
donate.
I'm gonna go to bed. But yeah,
and then vote for me in the upcoming.
Oh my God, yes. Yes. Weird thing. I should have looked up how close Del Rio is to the town that has been electing goats for mayor in Texas, because I don't think it's that fucking far.
That's what we'll start with next time.
Sounds great. I'm gonna take a nap. It's been a week, but yeah, take care of yourselves. I don't know. Take heart that monkeypox isn't airborne. That they actually just announced today the whole reason monkeypox is spreading. A bunch of people had sex at 2 different raves in Europe.
Oh my God!
That's it.
No!
It goes back to a pair of raves.
Oh,
so. I love our species. We're so fucking dumb.
That would have made such a better opening to Contagion.
And on that note, we will see you in a couple of weeks here on Gadfly. With outro at a rave. Oh my God. Gadfly is a production of Added Serotonin. Our episodes are edited by Brianna Valentine of Rem Alternus Productions. Our theme song is Sophomore Makeout by Silent Partner, and you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at GadflyPod.
Ready to level up your cosplay game? Check out the Geek Forge on Etsy. With a variety of props to give your photos that extra spark, you'll find just what you need. Hold magical fire in the palm of your hand, or take a potion to restore your mana. With a large variety of colors, you can choose your own magical flavor for your cosplay. Bring drama to your photo shoots with these vibrant props and more, all available at the Geek Forge. Are you ready to level up your cosplay?